Hello, how are you doing today? I hope you're well. If we haven't met before, I say met, but talked before online. If you haven't heard anything I've talked about, my name's Beverly. Nice to meet you. Um, I was where am whenever I have my deeper thoughts in the shower. One day I'm going to start recording in there because it's where the flow of my thoughts come from. The flow of what it is I want to express seems to come out best in water. So here I am before the thought dissipates, trying to clarify some of what it is I do. I've had I'm working through this thing I'm calling the year of discomfort with others, with myself. And in it, a number of things keep coming up. And one of the things that I seem to have a bit of a battle with is describing what it is I do. Because for a lot of the years since I started down this journey in my 40s of sharing through yoga, through holistic well being, I've fallen into the trap of thinking I'm there to get everybody better. But it's not that. What it is a guidance. And this is where the thoughts went. Because I know that in my being, but I don't think I've been clear enough all the time with everybody that I work with on what that is. And I can tell that's the case when I see the same people creating the same patterns through their lives that have kept them maybe unhealthy, unwell, or struggling. It doesn't mean change comes fast for everyone, and sometimes it takes a long while. But when I see the pattern repeated, and then I connect with these people, one person groups throughout every year, and I'm seeing them kind of look to me to set them up for the week and then they forget and they come back, then I don't think I have asked enough of them. A number of years ago, about 13 years ago, when I was 45, I did a hike in Peru with a friend of mine. And it was a big hike. It was one of those intense things. We picked one of the hardest hikes we could find, and it was through the Andes, 12 days to a place called Choquequiaro. We did end at Machu Picchu, but Choquequiaro is this amazing place out in the middle of nowhere in the Andes. Maybe 20 people a day get there because you have to hike and into that space. And you're hiking at these altitudes that are incredibly hard on the human body. You have to walk all day. You're carrying a small pack. Mules are carrying the rest because there's just no way, if you're not really truly acclimatized, that you'd be able to pick up the pace with a full backpack. Mules also carry the food and the fuel, and somebody is creating a breakfast and lunch from whatever's carried on these creatures, these amazing creatures at each point you get to, sleeping in tents in the cold every night, waking up to frosty mornings, just washing with a little bin of water and on to the next part. And the thing about a hike like that is it's a great way for me to express what this is that I do. You know, when you're in that environment, when you're in that space, you're asked before you arrive to be at least at a functional state so that you don't hold the whole group back, that you can actually just keep up a bit. And then it's explained to you what you need to bring, how you need to show up, that you will have to take your small pack every day of the things it require, your water, your snacks, any extra clothing, hats, mitts that you might need from morning through, or pair of shorts for the middle of the day. All these small things you carry, and the rest, your sleeping bag and that go on the mule. And this is a shared agreement amongst everyone that, yes, I meet this standard. And you spend a few days before this journey just hiking around the spaces of Cusco, going on different journeys to get you used to how much you'll be on your feet and how hard it will be. And then before we go, there's a good time to check in with each other. And the guides who will be leading this journey ask everyone if they feel they can do it. And there was a couple people who very honestly said, wow, it's not what I expected. There's no way I can do it. I need to step back, knowing that the company, G Adventures, will actually help set them up on something else at another time that works for them. And there was one person who showed up who had been in Lima previously, had twisted her ankle. Her ankle was still bad, but she insisted she was okay. And she was much younger than myself, but she insisted she was able to do this. And we were all kind of going, this is going to be hard because it holds back group. You need to get to certain points on this journey, or you're never going to make it to the end. And within the first few hours of the first day, it's like, oh my God, my ankle, because you are going down mountains, into valleys, back up mountains, around mountains, down into other valleys. You're doing this. And it's very hard on knees, on ankles, all of it. You're in rocks, you're in a very wild environment. And she couldn't do it. So next thing you know, we had to unload one of the donkeys. The donkey really loaded so she could ride the donkey, which was a burden for the donkey on these tight trails. And this went on for a couple of days until she was able to be on her own feet. And that was part one. Next part was she hadn't brought snacks, which again was on the list. Everything was on the list of what you'll need. So, high protein snacks or whatever they were. I had all these different things that were energy intensive. And she would always hint that she would like some because she didn't have any. She didn't bring a medical kit. So when she had something wrong, it's like somebody had to take care of her because she hadn't brought the things. So somebody's depleting their stock of their first aid kit in order to support her, even to the point of feminine hygiene products. And she was whining because she had not brought any and she needed some. And she was looking at me saying, can you have? And I'm somebody who's very much about, I don't want to feel like the bad person. I don't want to look like the bad person. And I was so done. I just said, no, I'm sorry. I brought enough for what I know is going to be going on for my body. And no. And she was offended. And there was a couple of people in our small group who were like, well, but you should be helping her. And I thought, no, because there's a point where if we're so busy taking care of somebody else, we are not properly taking care of our own selves. We are pulling along somebody else while depleting ourselves. I chose to share snacks with other people first that weren't asking, that were very appreciative, rather than the one demanding. Towards the end, she was trying to rush and prove that she could get faster, farther, and she twisted her ankle again. And it was on the day that we no longer had the mules because they went back as we were moving towards Aguascalientes. And so she again now had to hobble and had to be helped by others. People had to carry her burden for her to get to that final point. And it was a really interesting experience to watch this, to be in it, for myself to finally just say, no, I have my boundaries and I'm okay doing my journey, and I cannot carry you because I will then leave myself bereft of what is necessary. And all journeys are like this, including a health journey, including a journey to reclaim yourself. I'm on a continual journey of that. There are many things I still have to work through in my life. There always will be. We are these amazing creatures that have had so many lessons given to us, which is probably part of the process we're meant to have of how do we unwind from all that and relearn and grow and become these evolved beings on the other side of what we started as. So when I look to all of you, when I look to the people I work with, I realize I need to be very clear. This is a very similar journey. So as I move forward, I'm going to start imparting this to everyone that I feel hasn't really heard it and anyone new that comes on board. This journey is myself acting as a guide, like those gentlemen on in Peru, and a facilitator, one who is there to ease the way, create the space for you. But I am not the mule. I'm not there to carry the burden. If I carry the burden, eventually I will break down. And I have done that many times in my life where I've carried the burden of others and broken down. I've even this past few years having to take care of everything that came. And I say have to. I didn't have to, but I was the one person present who was able to. But my sister passed away from pancreatic cancer, and there was a whole lot of stuff that came with that. And it depleted me, and the burden of it kind of pushed me inside for a bit. And I'm re emerging from that. And I'm very clear on a lot of things now. And the clarity, I think, is needed by everyone that I share this space with. I am a guide. I'm there to bushwhack. I'm there to know the trail, know the indicators of where a good space is to sleep or not sleep, where movement is required, where we need to pick up the pace a little, where you need to pull back a little for safety, for the ability to grow. You know, when you go on a hike like that or any kind of journey, and I've done bike rides and everything that are the same thing, the first couple of days are really intense and really hard. Your body's kind of going, whoa, what are we doing? But if you are starting from a decent space, very quickly, the body regroups and it gets strong very quickly and it gets into a flow, and the muscles remember what they are able to do, or they learn very quickly how to be. But it requires you getting on your feet and doing that. That woman who rode the mule, she hadn't done that for herself beforehand. So it became a very tough journey for her. She had to be carried because she wasn't allowing her body to acclimatize to what was happening, what was going on. So when I guide something, we'll go slow enough that you can acclimatize. We'll just get a good pace going, one that will keep you moving forward, get your momentum moving, but one that allows you to not climb onto something that will carry you, but instead become empowered in what you're able to do, to start to learn your body, your mind, your emotional being, so that you are able to find a pace that works for you, but one that propels you forward to each next stage that you need to arrive at, because you do need to arrive for something to happen. If you never move forward, you never get to that end destination. You never get to that goal post. You end up maybe being carried back or having to stay where you are. I don't know. You know, if you were to be carried to the next place, if she'd ridden the mule the whole way, she would have never had an experience that would change her. And I would suggest that that experience didn't change her, because there wasn't much time she spent caring and dealing with her own space, being resilient within herself. It was asked of everybody else. For me, it changed me. It built something up inside me. It built a strength. It built an understanding of something so inherently beautiful in that journey. And it built an awareness of what I am capable of. I started off with an old injury that was tweaking, so I adjusted myself to it until my body found the rhythm and it moved past it. It just disappeared. So if you are working with me, if you are working with anybody, if you are on a journey, the people guiding you, myself, we are guides. I can't carry you and have anything change for you. Your life will just keep falling back, being very similar. But if you decide to step up to look at the list of what's required to follow the plan, to be a little prepared, know that you will get stronger and stronger within that ability to move forward. You will become empowered. You will be able to pause every now and then and really enjoy the struggle of the journey for the beauty that it has to offer. And you will arrive at stages that let you know, whew, you worked for that, you did it, you can rest in that, and then you're going to start again. You know, the end of that journey was Aguas Calientes, which is basically at the base of Machu Picchu. And Machu Picchu is stunning and it's beautiful. But you know what? Thousands of people a day go there, and it was anticlimactic. It was crowded, it was busy, it was noisy. It was, you have to line up for a bus, take the bus up, line up to get in, line up for every part of it. The actual beautiful part of the journey wasn't the end point, it was the getting there. It was what we saw, what I saw, that not many people will see. They couldn't see it because that was the journey I chose. I don't want to be moving with thousands of people. I want to be moving in these wonderful communities where we work together but are doing our thing. I don't want to be carried by a bus up to Machu Picchu. I want to work to get to that space. It was not as fulfilling to be bussed up to Machu Picchu and have the little pass to get in. It was far more fulfilling to wake up at this place called Choquequero at 5 one morning and hike into the sacred circle and watch the sun rise in the middle of what was a jungle being dug out of this ancient space of being. It was the climbing down one mountain and up another and getting there at the end of every day and knowing that I could do it, knowing that I, if not the strongest hiker, was very prepared for it. It was seeing the condors flying in the sky. It was experiencing the very few people we met along the way who were just living an existence on a mountainside with their goats and their hamsters and their world. I'm a guide. I'm a facilitator. I'm a teacher. I'm here to help you find the path, to keep you on path. I'm here to make it a bit easier for you until you're ready to take the reins yourself. I'm here to offer what I have learned over time and pass it forward from the teachers, many of them who've come before me through generations. Offer whatever wisdoms I have dug out of the soil of life. But you are that amazing being that chooses to do that thing. Pick the possibly harder way of being, but that harder way can be so rewarding. I think one of my favorite moments on that 12-day journey was the day we reached 15,000 feet. And it was the last 3 hours up were tough. We all were asked in the last 3 hours to find a beautiful rock to bring with us and pick our 3 favorite coca leaves, the most beautiful coca leaves we had left. And when we got to the top, there's a very narrow saddle. If you've ever hiked a saddle between 2 peaks, well, this was an incredibly clear saddle, not much wider than my arm width. And the other side would be our lunch and then the beginning of our descent. And that is what we held a ceremony for Pachamama. And as soon as I arrived in that space, all I could think to do was drop back in wheel pose, my heart to the sky, my full hiking gear. and just let my heart meet this beautiful space. And when I came out of it, we created our ceremony, laying our coca leaves under our rocks and building up this little rock cairn, our little 10-person group. And we said thanks to Pachamama in a way I will not try to repeat because it was spoken too beautifully for me to paraphrase. And I was in tears because words weren't needed. It was the sacredness of the fact that I had got myself there and all of nature held space for that. And I remember looking to the beautiful man who'd been leading these mules the whole time, who'd been creating these incredible meals in a tent in the middle of nowhere. And he looked at me crying, and I looked at him, and he said nothing. He just nodded because he knew I got it. That it is about that moment, the everyday of being immersed in everything that we are a part of. And that doesn't happen until we put our feet on that path and start. And the more you continue forward, the more you understand that sacredness of this life you exist in, this being that you are. My wish is that all of you would want this and want to move forward with it, but it isn't for everybody. That is not the trail for everybody, and I wouldn't suggest it for everybody. But if it is for you, prepare yourself. Check that you have what you need, and here and here and here. And when you're ready, you get hold of me and we'll start. You'll find your pace because you won't be left behind. I'll ensure that. But you will move forward. Take care for now. I look forward to talking to you at some point in our future worlds together. Namaste.